Short Girl Shells here from Dirt Biking Dunbars. Today I want to talk to you about what bikes are good for short girls. This is really just mine and Sasquatch's opinion on the various bikes that I myself have tried. And I know there's not a lot out there for short girls. Not looking to do the motocross tracks. I'm just looking to ride some trails with the guys on my camping trips and on the weekends. I started off with the KLX140. About the same time I tried the Yamaha TTR125 and 230. Great beginner bikes. I could touch the ground. It was nice and short. Tons of low end that I could follow the guys up the hills. You know, I didn't have to clutch a lot. It was really a fun little bike to start off with. Now, we got the KLX140 around 2013. It itself was a 2011. Some of the cons about it, the shocks were awful. I have a really healthy fear of rocks. I was always trying to find my way around the rocks, you know, riding with everybody else. They were just hopping over them like they really were non-existent, whereas me, I was getting kicked all over the place. I couldn't adjust any of the throttle. It was pretty much the same bike day in and day out. And eventually my skill level just surpassed the bike. And then from there, I tried a whole bunch of different bikes, trying to find the right bike. So one of the bikes recommended was the Honda 150R, which is a great bike, but it's not really for enduro riders. It's more of a track bike. It's got like the lower seat height. It's got great shocks. It's really light, which is important, you know. It's got a kickstart, which isn't great. The high gearing scared me a little bit. It stalled really easy and flamed out because I worked, you know, a lot of clutch work for this particular bike, and it was just not enduro enough for me. And the truth is, just a little scared of it. I did try the KTM Freeride 2-stroke 2017. I actually loved this bike, but at the time I was looking, which is around 2017, they couldn't lower it for me. So it's really lightweight, great low end power. The seat height was good. I mean, it was a bike I could grow with. They only made a few of them. They seemed to keep changing them. It was hard to find parts. You know, a friend of ours had a brake problem. We had to send it off to the shop. It took like 3 hours just to change the brakes. So lack of knowledge. And it's just as pricey as some of the other enduro bikes I was looking at. So I didn't get that one for myself. I have ridden the KTM 250 2019 XCW. Great first gear, a lot of lower end powered. It can be lowered 2.5 inches. It is a lower seat height. It's more in line of what most bikes are for seat height. And for a lot of people, 2.5 inches is pretty good. It's fuel injected, which makes it very smooth. It's very adjustable. It has proper shocks and handling. Great for going up those hills. I mean, you don't notice the rocks when you're on it. It's a great bike. It could be a bit much for beginner. You know, at the time I rode it, I had been on my current bike, which is the Xtrainer 2017, and I felt there was a lot more snap in it in second and third gear. It threw me back quite a lot when I was going up a hill, so it could be a bit much for anybody starting out. The current rider that we ride with, you know, she had a lot of experience on quads, so she herself has some great skills that were transferable to this bike. Brand new person, it might not be great for, and still loved it, but a little scared of it. And with a 1 inch difference from my Xtrainer, you know, for me at the time, you know, the Xtrainer 2017 was a better option. And I really love this bike. This is my favorite bike. It's got a lower seat height out of all the bikes, I believe, that are what I would consider a big girl bike. Can be lowered another 2.5 inches, which means I can touch my toe to the ground, which is huge for a short girl. It's got really good low end power. I can go up any hill. It's got great adjustability. You know, when we first started out, I think we had the tuner port at stock. We turned it down a little bit to give me a little bit more throttle control when I was first starting out on this bike. And now, you know, 3 years later, I've got it at the top. I don't think we can turn it anymore. I gotta say, I feel like I'm floating around on this bike. It's very maneuverable through the trees. I can go anywhere, I can do anything. I'm still not as good as a lot of people out there. I've seen, you know, some grown men and throw this around and jump a whole bunch of wonderful things, and I can't do that. But for where I am at, it definitely makes me a better rider. Problem with it is an Italian-made bike. It's beta, which means I can't get parts. There's not a lot of extras. I couldn't find a decal kit for it. I have to wait when I do get the parts. They have made this bike every year since, I think, 2014, and it is becoming more popular, so maybe parts and some of the graphics and all the other cooler extras will come. But that was something I, you know, was a little sad about, is I couldn't really personalize it myself. What I'm looking to get this year is a Husky 250, so the 2021. Now, I haven't ridden it yet, but the reason I'm thinking about getting this bike is my husband has the 300, it's the TE300i, and I rode it. I can't say enough about the smoothness and the lack of vibration that I felt when I rode his bike. The other bikes, ton of vibration in your hands and the pegs. I can really feel the engine of the bike. When I hopped on his, I couldn't feel anything. It was just smooth. It was very lightweight. It feels lighter when I push it into the back of the truck, even more so than my bike. And it's lowered. So a lot of good things about it that he himself has said, you know, the EFI control, the throttle, it feels lighter. You know, he was coming off a Beta 300RR, which he really liked in the beginning as well. But this one, he said it's almost night and day for him. The shocks are just so much better. Right? The rocks become pebbles. And there's lots of adjustability. It's kind of the same as the KTM 250 XCW. It's got the lower gearing, which is really good for the enduro riders. I mean, a con for me is it's not as low as a Xtrainer. So it's going to be 1 inch difference. It could be a little bit much for a beginner, but I think I'm going to try it. I'm hoping to love it. I am a little scared of it because of the 1 inch difference.
So how tall are you when you're talking these bikes? You're trying to get them low enough for you. How tall are you?
I am 5'2". I like to say a bit, but I think I lost a bit.
So 1 inch makes a big difference when you're sitting on a bike.
Makes a huge difference.
So,
and the thickness of the seats too. Like, I should point out that I have a lowered seat, a custom-made seat on this one, and the KTM 250, when I rode it, had the lower seat on it as well. Makes a big difference.
That's how you get to the 2.5 inches. 2 inches out of springs and 1/2 inch out of the seat.
Yes.
Correct? So 1 inch could make a big difference, especially for a beginner.
Very
right?
big difference.
So
beginners should be able to touch their feet to the ground.
You feel you're intermediate, so you feel that you can lose that 1 inch and go up to a bike with a little bit different shocks.
Yes. Now I'm still going to fall. I know it. I currently can't reach the ground with my Xtrainer, even though it's lower than some of the other ones. So I'm still going to fall, but I'm definitely a better rider than I am when I started out in 2013.
Don't go slow. Stand up to get across the bridge. Go hard now. Go! 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 Yeah!